Hey guys, Claude Johnson here, and right about now I'd like to introduce you to my new blues guitar riffing system that hopefully you can use to make your own unique and interesting blues riffs. Alright, so it's based on something that I call dominant chord voicing cycles, which is kind of a fancy name, but it just basically means a bunch of different chord shapes up and down the fretboard. So let me explain the basic idea, then I'll show you the chord shapes, and then we'll talk about making riffs. Okay, so hopefully you're familiar with the concept of a voicing. Basically all it is just a different way to stack notes of a chord. So for example, a G major triad, you have your root third and fifth, which you could play in that order. Root, third, fifth, or you could play it here, which would be third, fifth, root. Or you could play it here, which would be fifth, root, third. Okay? Just different ways to stack the notes. Same thing applies to a 4-note chord, like a G7, which has the root, third, fifth, and seventh. So hopefully you've seen that before. Maybe you've seen that before. We're going to go a little bit beyond that and play 3-note voicings out of the 4-note chord. So when you play this, you actually just only have basically 4 ways to play the dominant chord. Well, 4 ways on each set of strings. Okay, but with these 3-note voicings, you actually have 12 ways to play it on each set of strings. All right, now the concept of a cycle is something I borrowed from one lesson that one of my teachers gave me a long time ago. And that lesson was based on a diatonic scale. So for example, the key of C, you could take the C triad and then start moving up notes like 1 string at a time. So I would take this C chord and then move up this to the next note of the scale. I would get this inverted A minor. Then I would go to the next string, move it up, I would get an F. And then I would move this string and I would get a D minor. So, So we can use the same idea, but instead of moving up the notes in the scale, we can stay within the dominant chord. All right, so I think it's actually a more useful way to play around with cycles, because this stuff is a little bit theoretical, or it's not immediately obvious how you can take advantage of it. But with these dominant voicing cycles, I'm going to give you a way that you can make riffs from them very easily. All right, so let me show you the shapes. And by the way, I want you to check the link in the video description, because I'm going to give you a chord chart to make it easy for you. All right? Also, I'm going to hook you up with more videos. Some of these videos are not going to be on YouTube. They're kind of the next step in the riffing system. Anyway, all right, let's take the G dominant chord. We can start with this basic chord, which would be kind of my home base for, a G blues. But I'm not going to play the root. I'm just going to play on the G, D, and B strings. And actually, all of these chords are going to be on the G, B, and D strings. Okay? So theoretically, you could move this whole system to other string sets, but we're actually going to keep it simple. That's one nice thing about the system, is we get a lot of mileage out of just this one string set. I think it's kind of a good sweet spot, because when you're in the G, D, and B strings, you have room to move up, and you have room to move down. So it's kind of right there, smack in the middle, but kind of a good range. Anyway, let's just take this chord. Again, forget the low E string, and then we're just going to play on the G, D, and B strings, fret 3, 4, and 3. Now, the pattern is going to go like high string, middle string, low string, and repeats. When I say high string, I mean out of these 3 strings. So it just repeats high, middle, low, high, middle, low. This one, it starts on the low, so that's going to go low, and then high, middle, low, high, middle, low. All right, so what am I talking about? I'm talking about this. You take the low note, which is the 7th of the chord, and now you move it up to the next note in the chord, which is the root. So this becomes this, because this note is just moving up. Now we'll take remember we go to the high string now. That's the 5th. Now I'm going to move that up to the 7th. We get this. So far we had this, keep going. Okay, some of these are a little bit hard to reach on my acoustic, but you get the idea. Okay, so hopefully you're not bogged down too much. I'm not going to go over all the shapes because we'd be here all day. I'll just make things easy for you. Just check the link in the description. You can download the chord chart, okay? Now, let's talk just about making riffs. Here's the cool main idea of this system, other than the chords themselves, is you can pick any of these chords and use it as a basis for riffs. Okay, so one of my favorites is this one because it's right in the root position, so it's easy to find, and it's got that quintessential dominant seventh sound with root third seventh. You know, you can make. There's a lot of techniques. You can add notes from the scale, from the arpeggio. You can combine them with different things. All right, so that's all the stuff. You know, how to actually make different riffs. There's a lot of meat we can cover there. A lot of ground we can cover. So, if you check the link in the description, it'll take you to a page. Just enter your email there, and I'll hook you up with the PDF for all the chords, and I'll send you some more videos. Some of those are not going to be on YouTube, and it's just going to be more in this system, like how to create riffs out of these. Let's just take one more example, like maybe this shape. Let's see. There's a nice little blues riff, just off the top of my head, just using this. Maybe different groove. Or maybe let's go back to maybe one of the shape down here. So again, you can use any of these 12 shapes as a starting point, which is kind of cool. It just gives you like 12 instant options. And the idea is to just give you some, some material to work with, as a starting point for playing blues riffs. Because I think a lot of guitarists get stuck in like the basic shapes that we played over and over again. So this is just a little bit, hopefully something fresh and just a new angle to approach blues. So yeah, so if you go to the page in the video description, enter your email there, and I'm going to hook you up with a lot of good stuff, sort of like my thanks to you for getting on my email list and trying out my lessons and stuff. So I appreciate it. And I'll send you the PDF, and we'll talk about grooves. We'll talk about different techniques that you can use to start creating lots of different riffs and stuff. Okay, and we'll also talk about playing through a complete 12-bar blues and a lot of other great stuff. All right, so hopefully you get some use out of this, and we'll talk to you soon.